Well, it's that time once again. I'm in the beautiful San Fernando Valley. I'm actually currently standing on the same street corner where Stacy stands waiting for Ron Johnson to pick her up so they can go on their date. Of course, I'm talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And this year is actually the 40th anniversary of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do the filming locations this year, but don't worry, I promise they're coming. But yeah, right now I'm currently standing on that same street corner where she waits for Ron Johnson, and they've just recently put a street light on this corner, changing the way it looks forever, but what can you do? So anyways, we're gonna cruise around the valley and check some stuff out. I actually haven't been out here in a while because I've been so busy, so we're just gonna drive around and see what's going on. But before we get started, I do want to give a huge thank you to my newest Patreon supporters, but I don't have that list with me, so I'll just go ahead and edit that in right here. So a huge thank you goes out to John Morelli, Oliver, Mark Van der Molen, Mario070, and Robert Salcido. Hopefully I pronounced all of your names correctly. Thank you so much for watching my videos and for supporting me. Really, it means so much to me. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, visit patreon.com/80slife. All right, so now if you're ready, let's go see what we can find. Cruising along Ventura Boulevard right now. It is a beautiful Friday morning, pretty early, so there's not a lot of traffic out right now. So as I was driving up Reseda Boulevard, I noticed that this shopping center on Reseda and Oxnard has recently been completely remodeled and looks nothing like it used to. This is a shopping center that definitely stands out in my brain. A couple of the businesses are the same as I remember. The Baskin Robbins over there on the corner has been there for a while. Over here was some type of a like a party supply store. Not sure how long. I think that that Mexican food place, that's been here for a while, and definitely this liquor store has been here for as long as I can remember. But it looked nothing like this. But you know, the funny thing is, they remodeled this entire shopping center, but the signs up here are definitely the original ones. This one and the one over there. So that's kind of funny. I wonder if they're going to update those signs, or maybe they blew their entire budget updating the shopping center, and now the signs are going to stay the same. So a couple of random memories as I stand here looking at this shopping center. Like I said, there was a party supply store somewhere about here, and I remember going into that party supply store with a friend around Halloween time, and I had a few things in my hand that I was gonna buy, and then my friend said, you know what, they don't have what I'm looking for, come on, let's go to another Halloween store. And we walked out, and as we got into his car, I realized that I still had the items in my hand. Like, I just walked out of the store with those items. I had forgot to pay. And of course, I went back in and gave the items back. I felt so stupid. Now, the other random memory has to do with this liquor store. I remember coming here with my dad and my mom and my brother, and we pulled up and we parked right here in front of the store. And at the time, there was a payphone right here. And I got out, I walked right up to the payphone, and I said to my dad, hey, give me a nickel. I want to make a phone call. And my dad was like, you don't have anybody to call. And my brother then said to me, a nickel? This isn't Taxi. You can't call somebody for a nickel. Because at the time, my brother and I, we watched Taxi on Channel 5 every night. And he was right. You definitely couldn't call anybody for a nickel. And they did talk about it costing a nickel to use the payphone on Taxi. I think there was probably an episode that we recently watched where they kept saying like, hey, I need a nickel to call somebody. Anyways, random stuff that pops into my head. So if you lived in the valley, you probably remember this shopping center, and I just wanted to show you what it looks like now. Right now, I'm walking on Oxnard, away from Reseda Boulevard, about to hit Wilbur, and I'm having kind of a strange memory. Recently, one of my viewers left a comment, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. I actually don't even remember what video it was on, but I think it was one of my valley videos. But they left a comment saying that they don't ever remember seeing the Goodyear blimp here in the valley, and it made this memory pop into my head of, I want to say, the one and only time that I remember seeing the blimp here in the valley. I was driving with my parents right here on Oxnard, approaching Wilbur, in the same area where we're at right now, and I was in the back of the truck with my brother like we always did back in the day. We had our boombox with us. We were driving right here, listening to music, and all of a sudden my parents started banging on the back window to get our attention, and I turn and look at them, and they're pointing up in the sky really frantically, and I look up somewhere right about here, and I see the lights of the Goodyear blimp.
Even saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp.
Now I'm guessing they were getting ready to spell something out, but right as I look into the sky, all of the lights are just turning red, and I had never seen a blimp before. I didn't know what it was. I just look up and I see all of the lights are like fading into red slowly. So I see like this large red light fading into the sky, and it freaked me out. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I think my brother was like, it's a blimp, dummy. And then I noticed the blimp, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know why I was such a nervous kid, but anyways, I had kind of forgotten about that memory until I got that comment. So if you're watching this, you know who you are. Thank you for making that memory pop back into my head. So as I was walking on this path telling that story, I noticed something right over here. I actually don't really know what it is. It looks like some kind of a fun house or something, just randomly parked on the street. So yeah, it is definitely a carnival fun house, just kind of randomly parked here. You know what, I think it's in front of like a nursery, so maybe they have this open sometimes for the kids to play in, but yeah, just some of the weird stuff that you see here in the valley. Well, they've made a lot of progress here on my old McDonald's on Sherman Way. It now looks like a doctor's office. Good job, mission accomplished. Update on the old Skateland in Northridge. It is 100% gone, and the homeless shelter is now open and fully operational. So any hopes of Skateland coming back are gone. You see right up there, that was where the old sign was. So yeah, Moonlight in Glendale, you're all we have left. Please don't fail us. Hopefully Moonlight will be here for many years to come, because Skateland in Northridge is a done deal. Well, it's the holiday season, and once again the Valley Poodle hedge has been transformed into the Valley Reindeer hedge. They do this every year around the holidays, and it's good to see that they're still doing it. This hedge is a San Fernando Valley legend. Let's hope that it's still here for many years to come. And speaking of Christmas time and the holiday season, passing through the intersection of Whitsett and Victory right now, and this was the Christmas tree lot from the movie Lethal Weapon. Oh, thank you, trash truck. Anyways, this was the Christmas tree lot from the movie Lethal Weapon, and you can watch the video that I did on Lethal Weapon here on my channel. I got good news. I'm driving down Sunland Boulevard, and I found Waldo. Again, the strange stuff that you see in the valley. So this one is not my memory, but I still thought it was worth sharing. We recently passed by this building that very obviously used to be a Sizzler. Even without seeing the sign there, you can just tell from looking at it. And we recently passed by, this is in a shopping center with a Ralph's and a Rite Aid. And when we passed by, my wife saw it and she got extremely nostalgic, and she yelled out, "That's my Sizzler!" And that's because she grew up in this area, and she has memories of coming here with her mom and dad and sister and her aunt and uncle and her two cousins, David and Joseph, who were more like brothers to her. She grew up with them. And when she noticed that the Sizzler is closed down and most likely going to be demolished, it made her very sad, and a lot of memories started coming back to, you know, coming here as a kid with her family. And I just wanted to show you all this building, because I am sure that somebody else watching this has been to this Sizzler and has memories of coming here back in the day with their family, or, you know, whatever. And like I said, I just want to document it while I still can, while the building is still here. So I wanted to show this to you, and hopefully it will bring back some memories. And I wish those windows weren't tinted. I would love to get a peek in there and see if, you know, see if everything is still the same inside. And walk over here because I noticed, oh yeah, look at those glass bricks. I wonder what they're going to do with those when they tear the building down, because I will take those off your hand. Oh, there's some windows over here too. Oh no, they're all covered. They're tinted, and if you look through the side right there, there's like roll down shades. But yeah, I kind of want to see inside and see what's going on in there. And I actually want to, I'm going to shift gears here for a second. I want to dedicate this to David, my wife's cousin, who I was just speaking of, because we just recently lost him. He passed away not even 2 months ago, and it was really hard. Like I said, he was more like a brother to my wife. They grew up together. They were really close, and he was actually the first person that I met in my wife's family, and he just always treated me really well. I was always happy to see him. Spent a lot of time with him, and he was just a really great guy. He was really young, and he left behind a wife and 3 very young children, and it's one of those things in life that's just not fair. So, David, I want to dedicate this to you and let you know that we're going to miss you, and we love you. Well, it is the holiday season, so I thought, what better time to stop off at the Northridge Mall, head inside, and take a stroll down memory lane. So I couldn't even tell you how many hours I've spent at this mall in the 90s. Now, of course, the mall does not look the same as it did back in the day. After the earthquake, it was heavily remodeled, and some sections of the mall even had to be rebuilt. Now, this is where I always entered and exited the mall, through the food court, which a lot has changed here. A lot. Oh, the Tommy's is gone. The Sparrows is still there, but the Tommy's is gone. Of course, it was a fake Tommy's, the T-O-M-M-I-E-S, but that was always a favorite. Oh, good to see the Chinese food place is still there. That was always there and still is. Cinnabon is still here. The A&W restaurant is gone. So much has changed. Right next to the Chinese food place was the food court bathrooms, which for a period in the 90s had no stalls on the door. So I'm sure they did that because of crime, like to reduce crime, but you had to hope that you didn't have to use one of the stalls, because it definitely felt like you were in prison or something. And speaking of Christmas time, many years ago, I worked at this JCPenney's during the holiday season. For a couple of months, I was the temporary holiday help. And any given day, you could have found me right here in the front of the store, folding all the polo shirts after all the customers ripped through them, folding those shirts over and over and over again. Wow, and this looks so different. This down here at the end, this was always where the Sears was. And that Sears, it hung on for a long time. I feel like it just closed, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I could be wrong about that, but it was always Sears for as long as I can remember. And yeah, it looks really strange to look down here at this end of the mall and not see the Sears. Okay, now this one I'm kind of confusing myself on, and hopefully someone can help me out. Right here in this corner where Forever 21 now is, this is where I remember Sam Goody being, but I also remember KB Toys being here. I don't know if it was, if they were both here at 2 different times, or maybe they were next to each other. But I know for sure Sam Goody was here, and I'm pretty sure this is also where KB Toys was. Help me out, who remembers? Now, we used to hang out in this corner quite a bit because this is where the pet store and the Orange Julius was. Right there, that was the pet store. And oh, the Orange Julius is still there, but pet store is long gone. And I don't know, when you're a teenager and you're coming to the mall every day and you have nothing else to do, why not come hang out at the pet store and see the puppies? So yeah, that's what we did. And like I said, pet store gone, Orange Julius still there. And you know, when I first started coming to this mall in the early 90s, it still had that vintage look. It still had carpet, and I definitely missed that. And there's Santa Claus. Wouldn't be Christmas time at the mall without Santa. Now, if I remember correctly, it was in this area where the movie theater used to be. Again, everything here has been remodeled and changed around, but this is where I remember the movie theater being, and this is where I went on my first, I guess you could say, date. My dad dropped me off here. I met up with a girl and a group of her friends, and we went into that movie theater and we saw Robin Hood with Kevin Costner and Christian Slater.
There was a rich man from Nottingham who tried to cross the river. What a dope, he tripped on a rope. Now look at him shiver.
So that's my memory of the movie theater here. And then somewhere over in this area, there was a glamour shots place. And when my wife and I were dating, we came here and we took glamour shots. And that was the last glamour shots place that I remember going to. It wasn't a real glamour shots. You know what, now that I think about it, maybe that glamour shots place was on the first floor, but in that same area. I don't know. And we're now heading over to Van Nuys Boulevard for cruise night. You can see we're getting close. So we're coming up on Burbank, and this is kind of the start of the cruising spot. You can see there's already some people out here. So this Ralph's right here, back in the day, this was a Hughes market, and this was one of the main hangout spots. And when they started the cruising back up, like, I don't know, a while back, like 15 years ago, this was again one of the main spots. And it was cool because you can come up here and make a right on Burbank and then come through the Ralph's parking lot, and everyone would hang out here. But then Ralph's didn't like it and they put a stop to it, and no one was allowed to hang out in this lot. But I guess that is not the case anymore. They've even got vendors out here. So right here on the other side of Burbank is where it really starts. And here you can see there's already, oh, my window's dirty, but there's already police out here in the middle. I can see some police lights up there as well. Now, the one thing about cruising on Van Nuys Boulevard is it never really gets, like, the street never really gets too packed, which I don't like, because everybody parks. And I wish more people would actually get in their cars and cruise. It's always cool to see these vans out here, since they were such a huge part of cruising Van Nuys Boulevard back in the day. Hey! See, they're also posting up at the mobile station right here on the corner of Van Nuys and Burbank. So I stopped really quick in the Ralph's parking lot because there were a couple of cars hopping. You can see the crowd over here, but of course once I got out and started filming, they stopped hopping. But yeah, there's two cars going head to head and they were hopping against each other. There's still a bunch of people crowded around, so maybe they're gonna start back up. Okay, there goes one of them at least. I'm not really sure what happened to the other car that time around, but at least you got a little taste. You know, there's a lot of people out here tonight, but not really a lot of action. And sometimes it's just like that. Some nights it goes off and other nights it's dead. So the next time they have a really big cruise on Van Nuys Boulevard, I'll come out, I'll make another video, and we'll talk about what it's like cruising Van Nuys nowadays versus back in the day. So on my Valley video that I made last December, I mentioned the Christmas tree on top of the Budweiser brewery, and people got really excited. So I thought I would stop by and show it again and let you all know that it's still here, it's still going strong. And of course, while we were out here, I had to stop by Candy Cane Lane in Woodland Hills with the family. This is a place that I've been going with my family ever since I was a little kid, and I continue to come here with my wife and son every year. I'm sad to say that it seems to get less and less every year. There were less houses this year decorated than there were last year. It seems to be dying out more and more, but what can you do? All right, that's gonna do it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.